Coming up on Mountain News this morning, electoral overtime continues as people across Kentucky prepare for a recanvassing of Tuesday's election results. And yesterday we heard from Bevin's primary rival, Representative Robert Goforth, who shared his thoughts on why the numbers were so close. Plus, 2 people are recovering after an accidental shooting Wednesday night in Whitley County.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. The time is 6:30 on November 8th. I'm Madison Pergram, and thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. So happy Friday. We made it to Friday. It's a little chilly, but let's go to Brandon Robinson. Brandon, it's going to be chilly throughout the weekend, so people need to get prepared.
Yeah, we're going to get a little bit better as we head into tomorrow and Sunday, at least with the temperatures. Sunshine around all 3 days. Enjoy it because you know what goes up must come down. This morning, temperatures are what's going down. We're seeing the cloud cover escaping the area with the front passing by, and temperatures down to 23 in Moorhead, up to 34 there in Jonesville. That's our range this morning, but a lot of folks below freezing already, and still a little bit of time to go before we get to the coldest part of the day. So let's look ahead. Cold day is ahead. Nice weekend with lots of sunshine. And then next week, well, some big changes are coming with both conditions and temperature. Let's take a sneak peek at that weekend real fast. 50 tomorrow, 60 on Sunday. So again, like I said earlier, enjoy it because changes, they are a-coming. I'll have the rest of that forecast coming up here in just a little bit. Madison.
Thank you, Brandon. Well, electoral overtime continues. This time next week, we will know the results of a recanvass for the governor's race. That will examine the results and the nearly 5,000 votes that separate Governor Bevin and Governor-elect Andy Beshear. Neither man is unfamiliar with the close elections, says Associate Professor of Law at UK Stephen Voss. Now that the governor has asked for a recanvass, he said it's a pretty easy process that should take no time to conclude.
This is a fairly straightforward process, mostly electronic. It ought to go pretty quickly, and it's fairly reliable.
The recanvass of votes will take place next Thursday. And close results in the race for governor has Governor Bevin calling for county clerks to check into irregularities in voting. On Wednesday, the governor requested a recanvass of all 120 counties. That will happen in 1 week. Now we are hearing from Bevin's primary rival, Representative Robert Goforth. Hillary Thornton explains why he says the governor's pass may have cost him the race.
There are several reasons State Representative Robert Goforth challenged Governor Matt Bevin in the primary back in May. Some of those are the same reasons he believes the governor's vote count is about 5,000 less than Democrat Andy Beshear.
It was just the way that he talks to people and the attitude sometimes.
Goforth winning 39% of the primary vote to Governor Bevin's 52%. This map showing the counties the state rep carried. He says his congratulations phone call on primary night to the governor was the last time they spoke, despite repeated efforts in the weeks that followed.
And I let him know I thought he was in trouble, and we tried to help him, but he refused to let me help him.
Representative Goforth says if the election results say anything, he believes it is that the Republican Party of Kentucky is as strong as ever.
As far as preserving our conservative values, people in Kentucky, they want those values preserved. And we proved that on Tuesday night with overwhelming support for the entire ticket except for that race.
Obviously, that one race, the top slot on the ticket, a slim margin making Beshear governor-elect. Because of that, Governor Bevin requesting a recanvass.
As soon as this recanvass is over, we need to accept those results and move forward.
Many lawmakers echoing that, but all knowing Governor Bevin does have the sole power to request an election contest proceeding.
But if you don't have widespread proof of significant fraud, then you need to concede, and we need to move on as the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
Neither Bevin or Beshear are unfamiliar with recanvasses. Each endured one in 2015 on their way to their current seats in state politics. And meanwhile, state educators who supported Beshear are expected swift changes, starting at the top if election results are verified. Even though Beshear argued against it, he could follow a tactic used by Governor Bevin when Bevin issued an executive order to replace another state board. The state Supreme Court said it is legal, so if Beshear does this, the new board could would then quickly turn its attention to replacing State School Superintendent Wayne Lewis. When it comes to policy, funding for charter schools would almost certainly be a target.
Certainly the Board of Education had a legislative agenda that called for advancing charter schools. We would expect it to be just the opposite based on the position of Governor-elect Beshear, many policy issues.
The spokesman for the Kentucky Public Charter Schools Association agrees. He says a new school board would undermine efforts to find permanent funding for charter schools. And now in our latest live web poll, we want to know which Democrat you are most likely to support to take on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell next year. The majority of you overwhelmingly say House Minority Floor Leader Rocky Atkins. Second is someone other than those listed, then Matt Jones, and lastly Amy McGrath. McGrath is the only one running so far. And the filing window is now open for 2020 Kentucky candidates, and the deadline is in late January. While the nation's eyes will be on President Trump's re-election bid, many in the Bluegrass will keep a close eye on the state House. Republicans flipped the House 3 years ago, and Democrats need to hang on to all of their current seats and flip 6 others to take back the majority. And a woman is accused of collecting money from women who perform sexual favors for clients at a Louisville spa. Erin Moon was arrested on Wednesday following an undercover LMPD investigation. An arrest report shows that Moon offered a massage with sexual advances to an undercover officer at Sun Spa, the business she co-owns and manages on Murphy Lane. Moon was charged with promoting prostitution. And shoppers scattered as bullets flew inside a busy Kroger store in Louisville last night, ending with the gunman being killed after shooting at police while running out of the store. It happened just after 6 p.m. Louisville police say the shooting started as part of an argument between 2 people in the store's produce section. One person pulled out a knife, the other a gun. In a statement, Kroger says the store is secure but will remain closed until the investigation is complete. Kroger is already facing a lawsuit from last year's deadly shooting at its Jeffersontown location. In an unusual shooting on Wednesday in Whitley County, when a man's blind wife opened fire, injuring them both. Police call it an accident. WYMT's Hannah Reynolds talked to them to learn more about the incident.
It was a quiet Wednesday night on Savoy Road until police rushed into the home of Michael and Betty Reynolds.
Well, it scared me because, I mean, I love them like family. They're close to us, really close.
The police responding just got a call that one of the homeowners had been shot in his leg.
So while the officers were in the home, the officers started receiving gunfire from an adjacent bedroom.
Those shots rang across the street.
And I heard 2 gunshots fairly quick together, like a pow, pow.
A second person had been shot.
Typically when you hear those kinds of things, you assume the worst.
After an intense 15 minutes, police found all the shots were believed to be fired in self-defense. It turns out they came from the other homeowner, Betty, who is completely blind.
Because the first thing she said to us was, she said, my husband's gone on a hunting trip.
The last shot she fired was into her own hand. So she and Michael were flown out.
We're just grateful that Michael and Betty both were not injured any worse than they were.
Both Betty and Michael are in stable condition and healing from their injuries. In Whitley County, Hannah Reynolds, WYMT Mountain News.
The Reynolds family dog was also shot when police were trying to enter the home. He thankfully survived and is recovering from his wound. And there will be a competency hearing in a Martin County shooting case. Elwood 6 faces a first-degree manslaughter charge. Investigators say he killed Rodney Stepp in 2017. The competency hearing is scheduled for November 26. A judge will decide whether he is able to stand trial. Currently, there is not a trial date. That hearing will be held in Johnson County. And there is a new trial date in a Perry County murder case. The trial of James McIntosh will now be heard in Breathitt County. He's accused of shooting Danny Mullins multiple times earlier this year. Failure to seat a jury resulted in a mistrial last month in Perry County. The trial is now set for November 18th. Defense attorneys say they do not plan to ask for a continuancy. And 3 people charged in a Laurel County murder case will appear back in court next month. Investigators say Christy and Joseph McFadden admitted they had a fight with Christy's mom, Sherry Rose, when she was stabbed to death last year. They also admitted to trying to clean up the evidence. Michael Hinkle is accused of helping dispose of the body, and their next pretrial conference is scheduled for December 12th. And a woman is facing charges after deputies say she left a 7-year-old with a convicted sex offender. Deputies in Knox County arrested Whitney Lawson on 2 warrants last week. The next day, deputies learned the child was with Michael Campbell, who is a sex offender. Lawson is charged with child endangerment, and Campbell is charged with not complying with the sex offender registry. And a new arraignment date for a Clay County mother charged in the hot water challenge. Angela Guth was set to enter a plea earlier this week. However, that is pushed back until December 2nd. Police say she did nothing to help a boy severely burned after her son poured hot water on him. A grand jury indicted her on child abuse and wanton endangerment charges. And a former Kentucky accountant accused of paying for sex with young women who were addicted to drugs faces federal conspiracy charges. The Herald Leader reports 49-year-old Mark Mislagle was charged Monday in federal court with conspiring to distribute drugs and conspiring to engage in sex trafficking. Prosecutors allege that 72-year-old Logan Ray Towery provided drugs to young women, then passed them on to Mislagle for sex. Towery also faces charges, and one victim told police she was 17 when she first met Towery.
6:42 here on this cold Friday morning, but it is Friday outside the WYMT studio. Still a few clouds, but you can see them starting to break up there across our area. Temperatures cold and getting colder. 23 now, Moorhead, 27 Jackson and Pikeville, 28 London and Prestonsburg, Williamsburg too, 30 in Harlan, 31 right here in Hazard, and 32 in Middlesboro. That's one of the warmer spots in the region right now. It is 9 to 27 degrees, actually 28 degrees colder this morning than it was this time yesterday. So not going to get a whole lot warmer today. Lots of coffee needed and very hot coffee, max warming needed. Your out the door forecast features sunshine and a lot of it after those clouds clear, but your daytime high is only 39. Madison.
Thank you, Brendan, and thank you for joining Mountain News this morning. Here's a look at what's ahead. Coming up, firefighters were called to the scene of an explosion and fire at a hemp processing plant in central Kentucky last night. And in Clay County, a local church went up in flames Wednesday night, but people say while the church was damaged, fire cannot damage their faith.